So, I just finished this game, The Girl and the Robot, which I didn't know anything about going in. I just kind of saw it, and I'm like, oh, that looks interesting, what could this be about? I looked at the back, and it's like, looks like, I don't know, some cute adventure with a girl and a robot. And I'm like, alright, that sounds good to me. Let's play that, on PS4. So, this was like $20, I think, when I bought it, it's probably like a year or two ago. I have a whole big backlog. I've done a bunch of videos about that, but and I just played it now. Apparently, this came out in like 2014 or something. So I'm like 5 years late to this, but I mean, I didn't know anything about it. I hadn't seen anybody review it or anything. I think I might have seen it in one of the Metal Jesus videos, and I'm just like, oh, that looks kind of interesting or something like that. So I didn't know anything much about it going in. But what I got out of it was actually pleasantly surprising. I expected good, which it was. It was good. I wouldn't say it was the best game ever. Coming off of Mario Galaxy, it's a little hard to compare, I mean, that was like a really good game. This is good for what it is, I mean, it's an independent game made by Flying Carpet Games, which is an independent studio. This is their first game, and for that, I mean, it's great. It's ambitious, and the only problems is it's maybe a little bit too short, and but which I understand because it's kind of an independent thing. But I think it's probably the right length. I think I felt it was kind of short because of the story, which there's very loosely a story throughout the whole thing. You kind of have to piece it together yourself, sort of like the Eco and Shadow of the Colossus and those kind of games, which is very similar to what it actually is. It's very much like Eco, where you have two characters, but a little bit. I mean, it's not better than Eco. I really liked Eco. It's a very good game, but the concept is more fleshed out than Eco, if that makes sense. In Eco, you have the girl, and the whole thing is she's kind of useless, but she's cute, and the relationship between them is cute, and they hold hands, and that's adorable and stuff, and they spend all this time together, and you ship them hard, that kind of. In this game, I mean, it's a girl and a robot, which it's still a really cute relationship between them. Not so much as like a relationship, but they're just they're friends, and they're trying to make it through this thing. She frees him, and then he's just with her the whole time. I don't know, it's a robot, it's an it, but I'm calling him he because he's masculinely built. But anyway, so yeah, and then but she's not useless. She can heal him, and she has a jumping ability, which he doesn't have any jumping abilities. He's got this rocket thing that they never used at all, which there's a few things that they never really kind of used that much. I mean, I guess the shield and the sword and the bow are the most important things. So I guess the rocket thing's really the only thing they never kind of really fleshed out. They didn't do anything, but it's just it didn't make any sense. There wasn't any use with that move. But anyway, it's irrelevant. It doesn't matter. It's just weird that it's in there, kind of thing. Maybe they had some plans to do something with it. There was spoilers, by the way, for the ending and whatnot, but I mean, there's not much of a story anyway, but at the end, there was a to be continued, so, I mean, I don't know. I don't know how they're going to do that, because the way they left it, but, so, not really spoilers. It just to be continued. It kind of baffled me, because the ending was one of the parts that just kind of baffled me as well. Just the way it all turns out is just odd. Especially if they're going to do some kind of sequel or this card game that I saw they're trying to make at the moment. So I don't know. I mean, it's all up to interpretation, I guess. But I thought the ending was pretty clear cut that there wasn't going to really be a way to do this again. But so I don't know. I mean, I like the environmental storytelling. I thought that was cool. How you see these paintings all throughout, and that's kind of your story, and you kind of get the sense of what's going on there through that. You kind of piece it together yourself, which I like that kind of stuff, and it's very eco-like in that sense, where you just kind of piece things together. You don't really have dialogue quite as much or anything, but. Yeah, but that's not where this game shines. The graphical fidelity. Let's just get all the odd stuff out of the way. The graphical fidelity is all right. It's okay. It's pretty good. It's maybe like a PS3 sort of game ish, But it's an independent game, so you kind of have to just go with that. But for what it is, it's aesthetically built to look good, you know. I would say, especially from an independent studio. The design of the girl is really cute. The robot looks cool. You know, it's really adorable. They have some different kind of motions and whatnot, but it's really adorable when you like take the girl and you put her on the shoulder, and it's, you know, that's great. You know, I love that kind of stuff. But it's kind of it's a parallel to the hand holding thing from Eco. And you know, this very much feels like a game those guys would have made, sort of a simplistic sort of game that really fleshes out its concept more than anything. Which the concept of this game is kind of more so than Eco. I mean, I think they did some of it in Eco where like you each are standing on a panel or something something to that effect. But like that's this whole game is you have two characters and each of them has unique abilities. And one can jump, so she'll get to certain areas, and one can like do the attacks and stuff, so he'll have to protect her. Because if there's robot enemies, and if they get the girl, then that's it. The game's over. Like that's like I guess my other one little complaint is that she's pretty vulnerable. I would have liked like maybe a 2-hit kind of system, but like, you know, I get it. I get the idea, and that's fine. It worked for what it was. The game wouldn't be hard at all if you know you didn't. If she wasn't in danger a lot, which the game's not really that hard to begin with, but you know. So yeah, I mean, the idea is this whole puzzle. The world is a puzzle basically, and you have to find a way to get these characters to where they're going and get to the next area, and you just keep going with that. And you know, at first it starts kind of pretty simplistic, and you're like, all right, is this going to be the whole game? It's going to be like really simple or whatever. But then it gets like to these more complicated puzzles, and it just keeps building up. And then there's like this awesome maze section that has like these 3 different areas, and you have to figure out how to get your characters through and do all this stuff. And there's like this little bit in the middle where you like have to, it's really annoying, but you have to like have the robot, when you're on the robot you'll see the path where the girl can walk, but if you don't have the robot, like, because you switch back and forth between the two, I don't know if I mentioned that, but when you have the robot selected you can see the path. When you have the little girl selected you can't see the path. So it's like you gotta really just time things, and then like the other robots are coming after you and stuff. It's ridiculous, but at least the robot has like this bow and arrow sort of thing where it's like a crossbow more or less, where you can kill those enemies from afar. So it's more about balance and whatever. But my point is, this whole labyrinth section of the game, I think it was probably the strongest element, the strongest like section of the game. It's certainly the most difficult because they start really ramping up the enemies at that point to be very much it. I guess we could talk about the combat. The combat is it's kind of like Dark Souls combat, but like more stiff, you know, like so like in Dark Souls, let's say, you'd be able to put up your shield and you'd be able to walk around while you're doing that kind of thing, and you can easily go from your shield to your sword or like your weapon at the same time, you know, like that's just, it's natural, and backstabbing guys is really easy. Well, in this game, it's like you have to have either one or the other. It takes them a while to like put up the shield. It's like it takes forever. You gotta like, it's just so strange after coming off of a game like Dark Souls like a few games ago. I know I didn't talk about it, but I did play Dark Souls and beat that a few games ago. And just coming into this kind of stiff combat, which is fine. I mean, it works for what it is, you know. Which is fine. It works, but it's just different, you know, kind of not the way I would have done it. You know, maybe that's all they could do. I don't know, but you know, it's just a small little nitpick there. The combat could have been tighter and kind of faster between switching through a shield. I mean, you know, that kind of thing. But anyway, so like, you know, and the enemies are pretty tough. You know, you get a fair amount of hits, like maybe 9 or 10 kind of hits to go off of, but there's like these bigger enemies where they've got a shield, so you have to like put up your shield once they hit, then you like attack them, and then there's like smaller. Is littler a word? I think it is. It's just hard to say. Smaller enemies, where, okay, so there's like these exploding types. They'll run at you, like, especially in the maze section. It's just a nightmare to deal with these guys, especially when you're just the girl and you're like just trying to run through. It's so, you know, tense and whatnot, which is good. I mean, that's a good thing. It adds a bit of challenge to the whole thing, you know. So I think that's good. But when you're the robot guy, you just keep taking hits off of it, and it's just kind of annoying because there's like a million of these guys, these exploding guys. They'll just come up to you and explode. They're basically suicide bombers, and it's just ridiculous. But yeah, but like I said, so there's like, the girl can heal you, but if the girl is out somewhere else, like in this maze section where she's just like sitting there, like on a switch somewhere, and she can't really get back to where the guy is because he's behind this other gate or whatever, it's like it just becomes really tense because then you had this mechanic, and now they took that away at the worst possible moment for them to have taken it away. Not like worse as in bad, but like worse as in this was obviously intentional. They took it away at that moment, but it's interesting how they did that. And some of the other sections of the game, they're fine. It's just there's not a whole lot to them. You like go through this town, and like most of the quest is just to open this one gate and then just like go through, and then you're almost at the end there, kind of thing, to like get to the castle or whatever. But yeah, there's a lot of like switch puzzles and that kind of stuff. It's just really, it's a pretty interesting game. If you like something like Eco, I would definitely recommend it. The music was good, I guess. Whenever there was music, there wasn't really music, like background music most of the time. But it was good when it was. The boss fight. There's two boss fights. Well, that I can think of. Maybe there was more. There's some kind of like mini bosses with those like bigger enemies, like I was talking about. But there's two boss fights. One at the end, which was way easier than the one in the middle. I would say it's like in the middle. I thought that was going to be the final boss, was the one in the middle, and I was very disappointed because I was like, no, I want more of this game. And then like immediately after that part is when you get to that great labyrinth part. So it's like, this is good. Yeah, it's definitely good that they didn't end at that first boss, because I thought they were going to, and I was going to be really sad if they had done that, but they didn't do that. So but they did end when you find that same boss again. It's the same boss. There's just like the same lady is the same boss again. And the second one, it's really easy because it's just more of those invisible paths, but they're not invisible, and there's always like a place where the girl can just jump to, and the enemies can't get at her, and you just have to go up to the boss with the robot and hit her, and that's it. But like the first boss fight is this like crazy thing where it's like multi-layer. It's probably the best use of the dual pairing mechanic that this whole game's built on, especially for a boss fight, is that there's cannons on this top layer, and then on the first floor is where you have to stay as the robot, and if you're the robot, there's this evil robot that keeps like coming and like fucking your shit up, that the lady up top is like controlling or whatever. But if you're the girl, the lady up top keeps moving around and the robot just stays still. So like but if she catches you, you're done for. That's kind of the whole gimmick with the little girl or whatever. So, but it's cool because the bottom part, you use your bow and arrow to hit these switches, which changes this cannon that's in the middle of everything to a certain direction. And then basically, you have to kind of like time it to where you have to trick the witch lady up top to like hit her with the cannon with the little girl. So you're constantly switching back and forth to kind of get the best run out of these things, And so I thought that was really kind of a unique boss fight. The concept is good, and I think the game was long enough for what it was. I just would have liked more of that. I would have liked them to really flesh it out, which I understand there's budgets and that kind of stuff, indie developer and whatnot, but it's unfortunate that there wasn't more in this one game, because if there's ever going to be a sequel, like, I don't think that's going to do super well, because the first game didn't really do that well. That's the thing I've kind of avoided talking about this whole time, is like, right after I beat the game, I went online and I'm like looking around. I'm like, all right, what do people think of this game? This is like 2 out of 10s, like 1 out of 10, like 1 out of 5, like all these like scathing reviews. I didn't even read any of them, but like the number, there's nothing above like a 5, I think, for this game, and I sorely disagree with that. I think this game is at least like a 7.5 or something, somewhere in that range. It's not perfect, but for an indie developed game, I think there's a lot of variety and potential here to be something big, and the game itself stands as like a really enjoyable like experience. You can go through it all at once if you want, or just maybe like in 2 sessions like I did, and it's really good for what it is. So I don't agree with all these terrible reviews of it, but my point is it's just kind of unfortunate that they kind of set up for this sequel that will probably never happen. I mean, they are making some kind of card game, so clearly the company hasn't given up on like making stuff, which is good. Because I wanted to see them make more games, because I really did enjoy this game. I thought it was good. So hopefully they do make a sequel, and hopefully it'll be the Shadow of the Colossus to Eco. It'll be like this big deal, and they'll take off or something. So I hope for the best for them. But yeah, I mean it's the Girl and the Robot. It's a good game, and I'll give it like I said, like a 7.5. So I recommend it. I saw that it was it's like $10 at GameStop like now. So I mean, there's for $10. I mean, it's worth your few hours. So it's only going to take you a few hours, but maybe like 5 or 6 hours kind of thing. But for what it is, I'd say $10 is definitely very much worth it. So give it a shot. If you don't like it, I mean, whatever. You spent $10 on it. What's the difference, So yeah. I mean, give it a shot. This has been JZNES saying keep it classic and stick around for more reviews and underrated games, and I'll see you in the next one. JZ out.